When were you going to find your birth line?
Eventually, when things are a little less complicated.
This is Algebra 1, Chapter 4.1. Trying to get my stylus to work. Called the coordinate plane. And you can see on this picture from A to B, it's measuring the wingspan of an airplane, and we could also do that with a bird's wingspan, and later you'll have a problem that will utilize this wingspan. So I saw this little graphic, which I thought is a good way to remember the x and the y. And the x, you can think of x is to the left, but it's really left and right. But x is to the left, but the important one is y is to the sky. So if you can't remember, which one is running up and which one is running across, just remember the y is in the sky. So that will help a little bit there. A coordinate plane is formed by two real line numbers that intersect at a right angle at the origin. So here's the origin. It's the point where they all come together. The horizontal axis is the x-axis. And as I said in that little thing, it says x goes left, and the y-axis is the one that goes towards the sky. Each point on a coordinate plane will respond to a set of coordinates, ordered pair of real numbers. So if we have the ordered pair 3 and -2, we can graph that by trying to figure out where that is. And so our 3 is going to be on the x-axis. So 3 would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3 would be on this line. The -2 is going to be the bottom half. The negative here is going to be in the bottom half. So we'll have to find -2. And let's see. So looking at what I did, I took the yellow line and I went over 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3, 3 points. I went down 2 for the -2. So I go down for the negative, and positive numbers go right or up. Negative numbers go left, or they go down. And here I have an ordered pair, and I can mark my spot, and that would be my point on this. I could do -2 and -1, so I would go -2. I can't get my stylus to mark on the line for some reason. Let me see if I can try this again. Okay, that's 2 over, and now I have to go down 1. And that would be right here, and so my point is going to be there. So that is -2 and -1 here. So the first number is always your x, and the second number is your y. Okay. Let's try another one. We have coordinates, let's see, of 0, 2. So now we're going to start at 0, and 0 will be right on the line. So that's the x is going to be right there in the middle. And then we're going to go up 2, and we'll be right here. Okay. And then another example would be -3 and 4. I'm going to get a different color here so we can follow it a little better. And this one is going to be 3 to the left. 3 to the left. I'm having problems here. Okay. That's 3 to the left. And then we're going to go 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our point is going to be right there. So that gives you an example of how you mark coordinates. So this is our quadrants that we end up when we are graphing. We have quadrant 1 there, quadrant 2 there, quadrant 3 here, and quadrant 4 there. If you have the coordinates of 4 and 3, you know that that's going to, those are positive, so the first number is on the x coordinate, and the y is going to be 3, and so it would go up. Our point would be right there. If you had, let's say, 0, 4, you know that it's going to be on the, it's going to be going across the exact x line. Is 0 is on the line, and 4, let's make it -4 here. And so -4, hang on, -4 will be on the y-axis, and so my point will actually be down here because it's 0 going across and 4 going down. So that's not on any quadrant. So our first dot was in quadrant 1. The second one is not on any quadrant because it's on the y-axis. If it was on the x-axis, it would not be in a quadrant. If you graph all of a set of points of data that you've collected, you put them on your like this over here. You can put them, they might end up being all scattered around, or they may look like this or like this. So you can see here that plotting your data, your two ordered pairs, that you can begin to make assumptions and to learn about your data set. For example, over here, if all of my data points end up in quadrant 1, then that's a positive correlation between whatever it was I was researching. And at the same token, if it's this one would be, this one shows there's a negative correlation, and this one shows there's no correlation. So a positive correlation is going that way from 0, and a negative correlation is going down towards the x. So this is positive, is kind of going towards the sky there. Negative correlation is it's going down, even though we don't know what the plots are. It's the angle that we're looking at here, and here well, there's no line that we could draw, so there'd be no correlation. Now, this is an example of a positive correlation. It's moving. Sorry. Where it's moving towards the data points are moving towards the sky. We can say then that there's a positive relationship between temperature, which was measured here on the x-axis, and over here was the y-axis, which was cells. So looking at this graph, I can say that the hotter it got outside, looks like the highest data was 105, the more we sold, looks like this might, be 110 cells that day. So if I'm trying to figure out when I need to stock up on extra ice cream, if I'm an ice cream parlor, I would know that the warmer the temperature gets, the higher my sales get, and there's a positive correlation between their temperature and the sales. Every point on a coordinate plane corresponds to a ordered pair, and this right here is an, oh, it's moving on me, is an ordered pair. And it shows you here that the first number is the x coordinate and the second number is the y coordinate. So if you were asked if you had these two pairs, 2 and 5, and you were asked which one would be the y coordinate, you would know that it would be the second one. So let's look at quadrant 4. And if there is a plot in quadrant 4, is it going to have a positive or negative x value? Well, we can already see that we're in the negative y value here. So it is never going to have a positive this y value if it's in this quadrant. Let's try a different color. If you're in quadrant 4 and you have, so we're over here, same thing again. Would it have a positive x value? Well, yes, it would, because we're on the right side, and anything to the right for x is going to be positive. If you have, if a plot on the x-axis has a y-coordinate that's 0, so if something is plotted on the x-axis, so if it's on this line, any direction, then the y-coordinate has to be 0. Okay, so will always be 0 for y, because the x can go up or down, but you're right there on that coordinate. Biologists study animals in natural or in controlled settings. The biologists that study birds are ornithologists, and you can learn more about them if you want to. You can also see here that we have a wingspan that we could measure if we wanted to. This is Algebra 1, Lesson 4.1 assignment. That goes on page 206 to 208. Numbers 15, 16, 23 through 26, 29, 33 through 41, 46 through 51, and 56 to 60. That doesn't really look like a 60. Neither does that. Okay. I will try to write it down. Get a 6 there. And a 0. No, not much better. Good luck.